Okay, I know. Thumbnail's a little clickbaity, but, trying to play the game. So let me be clear. I don't think you can decide whether or not a movie is good before you see it. And I am excited to see the new D&D movie, but my real question is it a D&D movie? What's up, I'm the D&D GC, and this is the first video in a series I'm calling Insight Check, where we analyze or overanalyze some part of the D&D lexicon, and talk about what it says about the community as well as the creators of the content. And today I want to talk about what we know so far about the new upcoming Dungeons & Dragons movie, and what that says about the direction that they're going in. So if you don't know, a few years ago they announced an official Dungeons & Dragons movie, but because of the world, like a lot of other movies, it was seriously delayed. But recently it was announced that the movie is back on track and in post-production, and if we don't see any further delays, will be in theaters in 2023. Now we know some of the people involved, like John Francis Daly directing, with a cast that includes Chris Pine, Justice Smith, Sophia Lillis, and Michelle Rodriguez, all of which has me excited because I'm familiar with all these people, and I think they've done some good work in the past. And officially, that is all we know, as well as the title, Honor Among Thieves. However, recently, due to some copyright filing, we got a plot synopsis. And that's what I want to talk about. So, what we know so far, it reads, an ex-harper turned thief escapes from prison with his partner, a female barbarian, and reunites with a no-talent wizard and a druid new to their team in an effort to rob the cheating conman who stole all their loot from the heist that landed them behind bars, and used it to install himself as the Lord of Neverwinter. Only, the traitor is allied with a powerful red wizard who has something far more sinister in store. Now, that all sounds awesome, but one thing stuck out to me. You see, in my mind, this movie could have gone in one or two directions. One fairly obvious one, and one I think would have been very interesting to see. And with this plot synopsis, it seems they've gone the obvious route. I think that might have been a mistake. See, what caught me in that plot synopsis was the line that he installed himself the Lord of Neverwinter. Now, if you're not familiar, that confirms this movie takes place in the Forgotten Realms, which kind of disappointed me. Let me explain. Now, if I told you there was a fantasy movie being filmed set in the Forgotten Realms and asked you, is that a D&D movie? You would probably say, yeah. Moron. And to that, I would say, fair. Rude, but fair. Now, what if I told you there was a fantasy film being made that was set in Dragonlance? Is that a D&D movie? See, now it's a little trickier, isn't it? See, if you don't know, Dragonlance was simultaneously developed as a D&D setting, as well as a set of novels. So would that be a D&D movie or a Dragonlance movie? What if it was set in Exandria? Now, if you take a look at any top 10 best or most popular polls about the 5th edition campaign settings, Exandria has steadily set itself somewhere between number 7 and number 4 for the last year or even 2. Was Legend of Vox Machina a D&D show? Was it a Critical Role show? Now, I know that last one might have been a bit of a bad faith argument, but stick with me. I am somewhere in the vicinity of a point. See, Lord of the Rings was an adaptation of the novels that included the setting, plot, and characters. It was an adaptation of an IP, but D&D is not an IP. It's several. I mean, if you validate homebrew games as much as you do pre-written ones, which you should, it's an infinite number. So now you're probably thinking, cool exercise in semantics, idiot. And well, again, rude, but also fair enough. So here's the point. When you think about D&D, or try and describe it to someone who's unfamiliar, do you start with the Forgotten Realms? Do you start with Eberron? I don't. I don't think that's what D&D is. To me, D&D is an experience. It's getting together with your friends. It's telling your own story. It is embodying a character. It's seeing a world from a different point of view than your own. But you can't make a movie based on an experience. I mean, you can't have 90 minutes of people sitting around a table playing D&D. Or could you? Could you make a movie about the game? And could you also make the movie still a fantasy epic with dragons and beholders and fireball? I think you could. Imagine The Breakfast Club. Yeah, we just took a hard right turn. Stay with me. Imagine The Breakfast Club or something similar. But instead of the power-tripping antagonistic principle that they have...
Don't mess with the bull, young man. You'll get the horns.
Let's say instead it's the guidance counselor. A guidance counselor that cared and was trying to do something different. Maybe he remembered this game from his youth that helped him get through high school, or he stumbled upon one of the several real-world articles written about people using TTRPGs as therapy or to help people make their way through social disorders. And he could give them a choice. Sit in detention quietly and write lines, or come play this game. And then we would see them reluctantly agree, and then begrudgingly sit around the table and start a game for a few minutes. Resistant at first, until one character commits. Character closes their eyes, screen fades to black, and when it comes back up, we're in our fantasy movie. All of the characters are now cast with big Hollywood names like Chris Pine, and we now have our fantasy epic. One that is simultaneously everything we want to see in a D&D movie, while also working as an analogy for all of these players dealing with their conflicts, whether those be interpersonal or otherwise. And we can transition back and forth. This may seem like a disjointed and odd pitch for a film, and that's what I thought too when I first started thinking about it, but we've seen it done before. Sometimes in a comical but successful way, and other times in a very stylish but poorly written and kind of problematic way. It's not a good movie, but it gives you the idea. I think you could make a movie that both represents the genre and the game. And I don't know, you could even subvert some expectations. Like, let's say the big jock football coach catches wind of this game and we see him go to confront the guidance counselor. And as we expect him to unload about what kind of nonsense it is, he takes his 3rd edition books off the desk and puts down a set of 5e. Explains that he's got to get with the times if he wants to hook the kids. That's fucking stupid. Explains that he's got to up his game if he's going to interest these kids. His coach has been running a home game for years. He's everything the counselor needs. But I don't know. I don't think there's anyone in Hollywood who has the physicality to embody a role like that who actually cares about Dungeons and Dragons. So that's probably out. But to be realistic, I understand why this isn't happening and why it probably never will. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the studios don't care or are just in it for a cash grab. I don't think so. I think there's some talent behind this film that actually loves this game. But there's still a business. There's a chance a concept like this would alienate a percentage of the fan base who really isn't into the dramatic or melodramatic. And I can see that this doesn't lend itself nearly as much as what we're getting to building a cinematic universe, which I'm sure is on the table. But I don't know. That's just what I think and what I've kind of observed. I mean, let me know in the comments if you think that you would enjoy that film, or if you think I'm a moron. Is it too far of a step to kind of secure the core demographic of D&D players? And just because I'm curious and want to mix things up again, if you do like that idea, I don't know, let's fan cast it in the comments. I'll be down there. If you throw out good ideas, I'll get really excited about it. I'm a big nerd. All right, well, I hope you liked it. Like, subscribe, all those things are super helpful, and channel's actually been going really great so far, so thank you for that. That's awesome. All right, as always, I appreciate it, and let's get to work.